Hello class, welcome to GED202. My name is Dr. Brian Aschenfelder and sustainability is my business.
Official 2012 was the hottest year in the United States.
It's 2014.
2015.
Warmest year around the
Warmest year on
It
record.
is his activities which drove mankind out of the Garden of Eden.
Captain Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero. Have you met the Smarties?
Mister, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees.
So there's a drought. It's not like one girl taking a shower makes a difference.
My teacher says global warming is serious business.
Stories hold a power that science simply does not. The power to move hearts and minds and connect people to a problem. Facts can be devastating, but when placed in the context of a story that people can relate to, those facts become part of a reality we can better comprehend, react to, and address. Could the world's best storytellers help those who want to tell the truth about the environment and about climate change? And if they can, how can we use their power to help people move beyond the state of despair and denial that environmental facts alone have put us in? We're going to find out because this week we're talking about climate storytelling.
Just look out. There is no place to hide.
Here's the cold hard truth. If facts and data were going to save us, we would have fixed this shit long ago. The thing that will astonish us, challenge us, and push us to think anew about addressing our environmental challenges is dramatic, funny, and original storytelling. The climate crisis is a surreal, heartbreaking, global horror show that's happening in real life right before our eyes. Writer and director Adam McKay likened the current moment we're in to watching a comet hurtling towards Earth, which inspired him to write his hit film, Don't Look Up.
Talking to a lot of people and scientists, and I kept looking for good news. Right. And I never got it. Everything I was hearing was worse than what I was hearing on the mainstream media. And so I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a journalist, David Sirota, and we were both just like, can you believe that this isn't being covered in the media, that it's being pushed to the end of the story? There's no headlines. And Sirota just offhandedly said, it's like a comet's headed to Earth and it's going to destroy us all and no one cares. And I just was like, that's the idea.
So then why aren't we talking about it? I think we need to start talking about this stuff in our stories so that we can begin talking about it in real life. We need to explore what it means to be human in the era of climate emergency. We need to envision some other ending than the apocalypse. We need not just one hero or savior, we need a billion saviors. We need all of us doing whatever the hell we can. The good news is we already have the science, technology, and policy solutions to deal with the climate crisis. What we don't have is the public imagination to catalyze the political will. Statistics, no matter how stark, don't spark transformation. Stories do. We cannot win without stories. We need stories that help us make meaning of all this. Stories that let us know we're not alone. Stories that honestly reflect our world as it is and as it could be. We need stories that give us courage and hope. Your stories, the ones in your head right now, can create transformation. They can inspire people to act, to have courage, to feel less afraid and less alone. The most important thing you can do is do what you do best. Tell a damn good story. Through words, through movement, through performance, through music. Your talents are perhaps the best tools we have to change this mess. We're committed to great stories above all, in part because we're huge fans of TV, film, stage, and dance, and in part because we know that audiences will simply tune us out if our stories are lame or too preachy. No one story will save us any more than one savior will. There are no silver bullets when it comes to the climate crisis, but if we all try, if we all tell the climate stories we want to see in the world, those stories can help save it, because stories are vital to finding the courage necessary to face the climate crisis. And the truth is, I need these stories. I need to see myself and my friends and my world on screen and on stage. I need help making sense of all of this and in finding the joy and beauty in the midst of it. I need you to tell those stories, and so do millions of others. So this one is for all the writers, performers, and creatives out there. Those of you who are now steeped in our environmental crisis and those of you who are still learning about it. Whether you're writing a screenplay, choreographing a dance, acting in a pilot, or working as an assistant on the 23rd season of a show, this lesson should help you bring your climate stories to life. From real-world adventures of environmental heroes to the dark obsessions of glaciologists to climate impacts like scorpion attacks and blood snow, your journeys to inspiring change through story will in all likelihood take you to new discoveries. There is a consensus on climate science out there, but there is not a consensus on climate stories. There is no precedence for this, which makes it as thrilling as it is upsetting, because there are so few climate portrayals on the page, on screen, and on the stage. This is totally new territory which you get to shape. So where do we start? Climate change and environmental challenges are normal, and if they're normal, we can fit them into just about any story we're telling. We can do this in a number of ways. First, with placement. When climate-friendly behaviors are adopted by characters or woven into the settings or set design, it underscores that when our characters live in an ordinary world, that the environment is a part of that world. For almost 2 decades, the Disney ABC television group has implored its writers of children's content to do this, and so you'll see the normalization of environmental behavior show up in the background and plots of nearly every show. You can also take climate change data and transform that into your story. In May 2014, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter departed from Alaska for a 43-day research mission into the Arctic with 53 scientists on board and 1 choreographer. That choreographer was Jody Sperling, the first choreographer to ever serve on board a Coast Guard expedition. She conducted her own research for a new dance piece titled Ice Cycle. The purpose of that piece was to spread awareness about the alarming rate of sea ice disappearance in the Arctic. We can also look to increase the number of climate mentions in our stories. When characters mention climate change, even in passing, it normalizes its existence. For example, this episode in the 4th season of The Simpsons is one of the very first common mentions of climate change in popular mainstream television.
Could this record-breaking heat wave be the result of the dreaded greenhouse effect? Well, if 70-degree days in the middle of winter are the price of car pollution, you'll forgive me if I keep my old Pontiac.
There's also no reason that climate can't influence the story world. Climate change can be woven into the fabric of the worlds our stories take place in. It doesn't have to be a driving force of the story. Sometimes it serves just to acknowledge that climate change and its effects exist as additional pressures on our characters. In season 2 of Disney's Big Shot, characters deal with wildfire because being set in Southern California, it's something that characters will encounter in their world.
They're saying this is the worst fire in 100 years. Wish my parents were here. I got evacuated to the Y.
Well, my mother evacuated herself to the Four Seasons Santa Barbara.
Oh my god, they said the fire's spreading. This could be the end of everything.
Hey, stop it. Your anxiety is adding to my anxiety. I can't even get in contact with my mom.
Can we not catastrophize? It's just gonna make everything worse.
How could it be worse? We might all die. It doesn't get any worse than that.
All right, that's not helpful.
Hey, you know what else isn't helpful? That.
Coach, you can't be mad at us for being scared. Have you even seen the news?
You have to at least be a little afraid.
One of the first things I learned when I was a young boy, don't let fear control me.
Sounds like a story.
Changing behavior is hard, and it helps to see others going through that same struggle. Real people have genuine doubts and resistance, which is a great story in the making. Showing your characters facing down the barriers to change and growing in the process helps the audience imagine themselves doing the same. It makes audiences feel more capable, which makes them more likely to try something new. In the stage show Sense of Wonder, about the life of Rachel Carson, the scientist who exposed the world to the harmful effects of pesticide, the audience can follow along in her own struggle to enact change in a world that is anything but on her side.
The more I read, the more alarmed I became, and I decided that I would write an article. But I couldn't find a magazine that would publish it. They were afraid of losing their advertisers, many of whom were connected to the oil companies, or their satellites, the petrochemical companies. Well, if a magazine article couldn't be published due to advertising restraints, then a book would be written. It was really quite simple. That if I were to write honestly about chemical contamination, I would be plunging myself into a sort of war with the chemical industry. But I never imagined the full force of the industry's fury. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent attempting to discredit not only the book, but the hysterical woman who wrote it. Fortunately, the attack seemed to have backfired, creating more publicity than my publishers ever could have afforded.
Your characters can also be driven by climate change and its impacts. Consider how Carrie Bradshaw might respond to a flash flood ripping through her favorite shoe store. What would Larry David do when his neighbors failed to follow new water conservation regulations in a drought-stricken Los Angeles? Could every character be courageous or even blindly optimistic? Should they be? How does the environment and their feelings about it show up in dialogue? Are they able to talk about it honestly? Having climate characters is useful because audiences care about who is sending the message. People are a lot more likely to adopt climate-friendly behaviors if they see it done by a character they identify with, care about, and whose perspective they value, and a lot less likely to take action associated with the other side or someone they despise. Actions signal group identity. For example, despite not playing the character on TV, Bill Nye, former science guy, still gets asked to commentate on climate change for television and takes that new role very seriously.
So the Science Guy show is over. We did 100 shows. It almost killed me. And I got to move on to something bigger. But the frustrating thing is I would continually be asked to be on the news as a commentator. About the weather especially, and about climate change.
Bill, over to you.
The problem is we're just burning carbon and spewing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere at an extraordinary rate.
What Bill Nye just did was waste everyone's time explaining that CO2 is rising. Bill Nye is just going around saying CO2 is up, therefore global warming is dangerous, we should be concerned. It's not. It's not dangerous.
The world is getting warmer. It's continually getting warmer.
If I'm right, the reversals will lead to a degree and a half cooling. If you're right, they're not. But what are we worried about right now?
Okay.
We have this increasing anti-science movement in the United States.
Our president is worried about global warming. What a ridiculous situation.
All right, that was Donald Trump calling out President Obama. It seems our commander-in-chief...
It's worse than ever. The anti-science movement is more powerful than it's ever been.
Charles Darwin never thought of evolution as anything other than a theory. He hoped that someday it would be proven by the fossil record, but did not live to see that, nor have we.
The longer we put off doing something about it, the more serious it's going to get. And it's this problem where the anti-science people have been so successful. These people who are denying science, denying evolution, denying the efficacy of vaccinations, and especially denying human-caused climate change. We just can't have this. We've got to fight this fight. I've got to fight this fight.
In short, what we see characters do and say normalizes our own behavior. Next, we got to think about modeling solutions on screen and on stage. It's important for us to envision the world that we want to create. We can do that by modeling the behaviors we want to see in the world. Whether it's showing bike lanes or characters composting, every story detail can help shape imaginations and promote new cultural norms. Taking climate-friendly actions is now just a part of daily life, no different from wearing a seatbelt, and that's the reality that can be reflected on screen and on stage. Your character's actions can make climate-friendly behaviors seem normal, expected, and socially desirable, and they can de-sexify climate-harming behaviors. How can you use what we've learned already to imagine how we might generate electricity, grow our own food, solve transportation, build our homes, and live together? Ask yourself, how can you make sustainability real for your audiences? Here are a few suggestions that I have. First, talk climate. Discussions about climate can be personal, dramatic, or even funny. Having your characters talk about the climate crisis normalizes it for your viewers. Take a look at these examples from the Disney show Just Beyond.
My mom and dad spent an entire weekend shopping for decorative pillows. And they kept saying things like game changer. About pillows? Yeah. You should hear my dad talk about solar panels. 90% of his conversations are about how much money they save from them. He literally thanks the sun when it's out. I mean, are all parents this cringy? Jamie Shapiro's parents ride motorcycles. My dad's van uses vegetable oil, so I had to stop letting him drop me off because kids said that I smelled like French fries. I mean, you kind of do.
I don't get it, Veronica. You're smart. You come from a good home, but you have this streak. Streak? You were my sunny, straight A girl all the way through 8th grade. Then you come back from summer break with all these buttons, all these causes. Your smile's gone, your grades are terrible, you're disruptive. What happened?
I started paying attention. It's up to my generation to save the earth.
Is that why you stood on a table at lunch and called for an uprising against our school's war on climate?
I wasn't calling for an uprising. I was calling for a protest.
Of Hamburger Day.
Yes. American schools serve over 1 billion pounds of beef a year, which translates to 100 million tons of CO2 and methane emissions.
I'm a high school principal. What am I supposed to do about methane emissions?
One person can make a difference.
Maybe. That doesn't change the fact that this makes 9 infractions this year. 9, you're suspended. Veronica.
What?
Second, show plant-rich diets. Your characters don't have to be full-on vegans for you to show plant-rich diets, and they can arrive at plant-rich diets for a variety of reasons, from animal rights and health benefits to racial justice, from workers' rights to protecting the Amazon. In ABC's Blackish, Dre struggles to come to terms with his son Jack becoming a vegan.
Dad, I don't eat meat. Hey, son. These are vegan barbecue wings, all right? Textured tofu wrapped around a wooden stick, expertly coated in vegan barbecue sauce.
Characters making use of public transit is another way to normalize environmental behavior. In Disney's Zootopia, one of the most visually striking scenes in the entire film is when character Judy Hopps takes the train into the city. From dramas to comedies, there's so much climate-related content to be harvested across kitchen and restaurant settings. You could try featuring a cooking scene that shows people composting, restaurants donating unused food, or people eating leftovers and buying only what they need. Check out this scene from Schitt's Creek, for example.
Hey, you, hey. So I just wanted to be clear about what happened the other night. The reason that I let you kiss me.
You kissed me?
Yeah. No, I can see how that'd be confusing, but I just wanted to let you know that that was just me going through some stuff.
Cool.
Hey. So, why do they give you table scraps? Are you like a poor person or?
No. But thanks for asking. No, I use it to compost. You know, that way nothing gets thrown out. Composting?
Yeah, no, I know composting. Gwyneth Paltrow does a compost gift exchange.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, great. I'm glad that we could clear this up.
You can also show your characters standing up for the environmental cause. We've seen the power of direct action across our country, and it could be even more widespread if it showed up in our stories more often. In 1997, writers of the ABC show Home Improvement demonstrated activism in this episode.
According to my sources, your company has a very poor pollution record. How do you respond?
Son, Benford is a responsible corporate citizen. We are committed to protecting our environment.
Well, then why does Pollution Watch call Bimford, and I quote, an egregious environmental offender? And why aren't you doing anything to reduce the emissions from your paint and solvent plants?
More recently, the Apple show Ted Lasso featured a plotline that Gizmodo called a masterclass in environmental storytelling. Character Sam discovers that the team sponsor is responsible for destroying the environment of his home in Nigeria, and he stages a public protest on the pitch.
What are you doing?
What, Dubai Air not paying you enough?
No. Dubai Air is owned by a horrible company. One that has turned the southern coast of Nigeria, my home, into a hellish, fiery swamp. I can no longer wear their name on my chest. Never again.
Give me the tape, bro.
Okay, that's good.
Hey, listen, I did not expect you all to do this. But I hope you understand why we, as Nigerians, must.
Want me to tape?
What do you think you're doing?
You're a team, aren't we? Gotta wear the same kit.
And last, if we want to live in a world with less single-use plastic, then we can write characters that want to live in a world with less single-use plastic. There are initiatives out there that are working on removing plastics from the film and television industry in the same way that we removed smoking. Because when we normalize the wrong behavior, it just ends up looking normal to us. Recently, the Lights Camera Plastic campaign has been working with productions to do just this. Lights Camera Plastic aims to avoid single-use plastics on screens, replacing them instead with reusable and eco-friendly items. She-Hulk and the Spiderwick Chronicles are just some of the most recent productions to take on this task.
We have a huge plastic problem, and the entertainment industry plays a role in influencing our decisions, similar to the anti-smoking movement. If we strive to remove single-use plastic from our screens, we have the power to highlight more sustainable choices. Lights Camera Plastic is a campaign launched by Habits of Waste with the goal of denormalizing single-use plastic on television and in films.
There is a hunger out there for more stories like this, and there are resources out there to help you produce them. Do you like $20,000? Do you follow the blacklist to keep up to date on the industry's top unproduced screenplays? Do you care about the fate of the planet? The Natural Resource Defense Council, in association with the Blacklist, have recognized that we need Hollywood to give us a new climate narrative, one that will help us face reality, confront our fear and grief, imagine possible futures, and inspire us to action. And so they are offering a climate storytelling fellowship. The fellowship will grant $20,000 each to 3 screenwriters to support revision of a feature screenplay or pilot that engages with climate change in a meaningful way. For those non-screenwriting folks out there, there's also the Everything Change Contest. The Imagination and Climate Futures Initiative at Arizona State University has hosted the Everything Change Climate Fiction Contest annually, looking for short stories that explore visions of the future where humans are living within Earth's planetary boundaries. And of course, every year the Environmental Media Association also recognizes the best work in environmental storytelling across multiple categories. This year's winners included Bill Nye's The End Is Nigh for Best Reality Show and Adam McKay's Don't Look Up for Best Feature Film.
And the Emma Award goes to The End Is Nigh, The Volcano Paradox.
But it's still storytelling. And I still love what I love about movies and television. It's still handmade. We're still getting a message across. And I just also want to thank Seth MacFarlane. And Seth MacFarlane's idea was, we got to scare people. That's why people watch conservative media, because they scare people. So Brandon and I made 6 disaster movies. And so if you haven't seen it, the first half goes very badly, but in the second half, we make the world better with science!
In summary, you can transform the world through stories and use them to help audiences get real about what we're up against, proceed with optimism, and stop denying or distorting what's ahead. And I, for one, am excited to see what you can do with this new power and responsibility.
Guess it will last, but I don't know how. If I sit on my hands, will the world still go round? I'm stuck to my habits. I know I'm not alone. I'm not doing much, but it's happening. I lie on my